Sports Minutes with Ziaul Raushan.
Money FM 89.3. It's time for Sports Minutes with me, Ziaul Raushan. And so, after a 2-month hiatus, the Singapore Premier League is set to resume in mid-January. Amidst a flurry of transfer activity and managerial changes, there's plenty to get up to speed with. And lucky for you, Sports Minutes is right here to get you up to speed ahead of the race to the finish line. Speaking of which, joining us on Sports Minutes is a certain Noh Alam Shah, who has been appointed interim head coach of Tanjong Pagar United, who've had a season to forget thus far, languishing at the bottom of the table with just 2 wins from their 19 games. So plenty of work to be done and plenty to discuss. Coach, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Roshan. I'm great. Thanks for the invite. Nice to be back in Singapore after so long, and really can't wait for the season to start.
Coach, there's so much to talk about in terms of Tanjong Pagar, but you talk about coming back to Singapore quite recently. Let's talk about Japan for a while and that training stint with Tokyo Verdy. Share a little in terms of what were your experiences like, both professionally as well as personally.
I really can't expect nothing more than professionalism at a J1 club like Tokyo Verdy. And then they have achieved so much this season. And I felt like myself and Isa Halim really get the treat in front of us, you see. And for them to accept us and have a coach or manager like Joe Foucault, who's a fantastic guy, who's willing to share everything with us, and it grows us as a coach and also a professional in our field. So yes, I'm so excited to be back. Can't wait to implement things that I've learned over there, and hopefully things will turn out well, you see.
Yeah, exactly. Because you coming back from Japan, I can't wait to find out what you're going to implement at Tanjong Pagar. Yeah. But before we talk about that, I understand you landed in the airport and then you straight away went to training a few hours later. Yeah. Before I ask you why you were so semangat to get to training, I want to know, when did Tanjong Pagar get in touch with you and say, Along, we need you back to come and rescue our club, so to speak?
So it literally happened after Hasrin left in October, and then after a string of poor results by the team, and then Desmond and Raymond, our chairman, called me up and then told me that, hey, we need assistant in a way, and needed me to come back if possible, and that got me into thinking of coming back lah, basically. So it was in October, around November, when I make my decision and then start planning on what to do when I come back.
And you talk about making that decision. Must have been an easy decision because you've been at the club, you know the club, you obviously care for the club, right?
Yeah. So it was an easy decision, not a comfortable decision, because I know what I'm getting myself into. But again, this club was given to me as a responsibility before in 2020, and to literally start it from scratch by doing everything for the club and then seeing it crumble like this. It's a challenge for me to take this responsibility and try to steer the ship well back again. Yeah, so that is one of the main reasons that's why I'm here.
And you talk about the challenges that you face. You almost say you knew what you were signing up for, right?
Yeah.
When you came and addressed your boys for the first time, how bad a situation was it compared to before you left to Japan?
Before I left, we even haven't started the season, so we really don't even know our ability as the staff. We really don't know if when I left they are able to deal with it on their own, and then the players themselves. But after a season long, when I come back, I saw a different set of players and then a less motivated staff. It was very, very difficult because the belief was not there anymore.
And how difficult is it in a situation like that to almost rescue the players as well as the staff? Because when the confidence is hit, right, it's going to be very difficult to pick up. So how big a challenge was it to give new belief to the players and staff?
I'm not going to say it's easy, but it always has to start from yourself. Yeah, so that's the reason why when I touched down, and then immediately I went into the session after 3-4 hours landing in Singapore, just to show that to them first, hey, you need hard work. Then from the hard work, and then you will create the belief, and then after that, the togetherness, we will forge through the hardship. And then from there on, I've already said a few messages to the boys through my own action. I never actually speak anything or spoke anything to them for 3 weeks. Yeah. So it was just all action on my end. It was more on dealing with the staff, screwing the staff upside down. And then when they see that, when the players see this, and hey, they mean serious, and then they themselves believe. And then every day, like I told them, it's just a 1% win every day. Yeah. So now, like I said, it's 38 days. It has already been 38% win.
And the fact that you know straight away is 38 days tells me how much you are detail-oriented, in the sense where you are sort of weighing out exactly what you're doing. The word you didn't use there is credibility, and that means a lot to you. Can you explain why?
In Japan, when I went to Tokyo Verde, I look at the coaches, early in the morning, they come doing their mobility stretches, and then after that, they go for their runs, and then they prepare the session. And at first, I wonder why they are doing all this, you see. But when over time, then I realized that these are professional players they are dealing with, and they are also ex-professional players, and they already have a high recognition from the players, but they don't want to lose credibility by putting on weight or they are not able to demonstrate, you see. So I felt that the credibility you have as a coach, you need to show to the players that you really mean business. By, like I say, sometimes you may be wrong by just admitting your fault, you will lose a credibility as a coach because you are leveling yourself really, really down. But again, it's up to you to know, for you to reflect, and then for you to improve yourself for the sake of the team. The players will understand this. Yeah. So I like you said, credibility is really, really a big word for me and my staff now. And we cannot lose this until the end of the season or future,
Yeah, you're exactly right. The credibility, once it's there, I think the players almost seeing is believing, right? Coach, I have to be very honest with you. In the first half of the season, there was a player who played against Tanjong Pagar United. He told me off record, it was like playing against training cones. He said the players were not running, were not moving, were not basically following any form of tactics. Now that you spent 38 days with the boys at the time of recording, is it a matter of ability or was it a matter of attitude?
First of all, I think the ability we have is, of course, not better than the rest of the other teams. Yeah, but ability aside, if you have the desire and the determination, I think you can surpass that factor. And like I said, if there's no motivation on your end, it's also a problem. But to have motivation, you need a clear target and goals on what to achieve. Yeah, and then if you don't have that, and then you're just walking blindly, and then at a junction you just stand there like a cone, like what the player mentioned is not wrong, but trust me, if he plays against us again, if I know who he is, he's going to get into big trouble.
Maybe I'll tell you off record who it is for the sake of his safety. I will not tell you. Coach, I will talk to you in terms of this stint you had in Japan.
Yes.
Now you come back. Did this opportunity almost come at the right time where everything is still so fresh in your mind? You remember what you saw in Japan and now you are almost excited to put it into work hands-on.
First of all, I have to put into here that when I accepted the attachment into Japan, I myself has lost motivation and focus when I was at Tanjong Pagar back then. And it couldn't get into the right timing when I go over there. I learn things and then I look at the behavior. I'm an emotional guy, passionate guy, and then to be just beside Joe Foucault, and then he reignite my interest and passion back towards the game by just observing him and talking to him. So when I come back here, I'm a rejuvenated new person, and then it cannot be better. And then one of the reasons why I chose to come back to Tanjong Pagar rather than other places is because that I know over here I can make things, I can decide, the decision making is on me. And let's see whether I fail or not. This is the stage that I can be freely do things on my own.
And do you enjoy that responsibility? Because some people will feel like it's pressure, to do all this, but you seem to enjoy that responsibility.
My whole life is all about trouble and things, right? I love these challenges of proving people wrong. I love the challenges of assisting them when they are down. I think this is just a character that I have since young. And whether if I fail or I pass, at least we are together in this, But again, like I told you, it won't be cone standing inside the field. You will see us bettering people even if we go down. That's the pride that I'm talking about, the passion that we're talking about. I've gone through 38 days. I decided to make a lot of signings when I was in Japan before I come back, and I just end up making one signing because the players proved to me that, hey, I really wonder what happened throughout the whole season that you are inside this mess. And it stopped me from making any signings after that, you see.
Wow, that's really interesting to know because I'm going to talk about your signings in a short while. Before that, Coach, you said you're always about trouble. You don't mince your words. You say it how it is. That's the Noh Alam Shah we know, we love, and we appreciate, right?
Yeah.
Are you the same when you talk to your management?
I'm still the same person who will give credit when it's due, who will give critique when it's supposed to be. So and my management, of course, people can see them a lot of flaws in them, but they are very kind people who always have a thought for the staff and also the players, and that's why I'm always here at Tanjong Pagar, because the first question from them, especially from my chairman, is like, hey, are they eating enough? Family all good, and hey, never mind. They play like this, but what are their problem? But I told my chairman, it cannot be never mind all the time. You should put your human side away because this is a professional setup. But again, I think over the years he learned to be a little bit more result oriented now. And of course, everybody grow in Tanjong Pagar over the last 5 years, and hopefully we can contribute to Singapore football in a way in future.
You talk about result oriented. Has the management set you any KPIs from now till the end of the season?
They shouldn't set me any KPI with what they have given me. I'm telling them, the first thing I told them is that we shouldn't be losing 4, 5, 6-0 because that is totally embarrassing. Over the last period of 6-7 games, the best scoreline was 4, losing 4, and it is not healthy. I told them even drawing a game is already a win right now. So you need to consider this. I think preparing for the next season is much more important because there's nothing much you can do in these remaining 19 games. They understand where I'm coming from, and they agreed also. But I promised them that at least these players will try to fight for their contract and create an impression or perception for the fans to know that we are really fighting for the club.
I'm sure the fans are super excited as to what is to come. I personally am very excited. Let's talk about signings now, and you've announced the signing of a goalkeeper, Matt Silva, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about, and why did you decide rather, to address the goalkeeping situation?
73 goals is no-brainer to sign a goalkeeper, because some games we shouldn't have lost 4, 5, 6 goals, and majority of that comes from the goalkeeping department mistakes. So first of all, I have to address Fajar Sarip's contribution as a goalkeeper coach, and we sit down and then he understands that, and then we discuss whether we want to get a foreign goalkeeper in November, and then we decide that this is something that we need. And then of course looking around for an experienced goalkeeper, first of all, to lead the line, and then somebody who's comfortable jumping on turf. And Matt has already played in Champions League with a under-par team, so he understands bullets coming to him and how he deals. So that was the reason why we signed him, because I spoke to Matt. It's going to be difficult, right? But he's a superb guy. He's willing to take this, and then so far he has been good on his end, Yeah.
Any more signings to follow? I know you talked about having a list.
No. At the end, the goal discussed with the management is already to go through this season and then focus on the next season. So I'm able to convince the management, let's stay with these local players, and then we will go through with them, let them have a chance to prove themselves that they are better than what they have contributed before. So if I'm wrong, then it's easy job for me. At the end of June, everybody can go. So at the end, it's for them to prove their worth right now.
Yeah. And you talk about the defensive issues. You talked about conceding 73 goals, I think. You've only scored 19 goals as well.
Yeah.
You're a former striker.
Yeah.
What are you doing differently with your boys during training to give them added impetus to score more goals at least?
To be honest, I haven't worked anything on the attacking only this week.
Okay.
I spent 4 weeks on defending.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, we had a friendly match against Balestier last week, and we drew 3-3. Yeah. I say, okay, we improve our 4 goal concede, but we also improve. I told the boys, I can't recall when was the last time we scored 3 goals. And in the first 5 minutes, we are already leading them 2-0.
Wow.
So it shows that Leicester and the other teams are still going to look at us like what you guys were before. If they're not gonna take you seriously, you already shown that you're gonna put 2 goals in front of them early in the minutes, but you can score. There's no doubt about it. It's only about going forward and putting ourselves in the area to score. That's the main issue now. But again, I always learn from all my past mentors that to win games you have to defend first. Then eventually the goals will come later when the confidence is being built.
Coach, only because you brought up past mentors, I have to ask you this. Who are your mentors in terms of coaching?
In terms of coaching, I got, of course, Fandi is one of my first mentor that I have, and then Milome is one of my direct mentors. The sub mentors that I have, I like Subramani, and then all these are the people who I will call all the time and then ask for money. Now I have one direct mentor in Jofuku now. So it's always nice that they are always around to assist.
Wow, that's interesting. I never knew that about you. Let's continue the conversation about Tanjong Pagar. Coach, we talked about the players, right? For a minute, I want to talk about the players who are not there. Because for me, observing the team, they've lost a lot of leaders and elder players in the past few years. Farid, Shaki, Blake Rishuto, Khairul Amri. How do you then address a leadership issue in a squad like that? How do you identify leaders? Because you're the coach off the pitch, but on the pitch, I'm sure you need a lieutenant also, right?
Of course. But again, this is something that we have spoken about. But in 2020, we signed players like Faris, and then we beef up the team with Amris, and then Ridwan at that point of time, signed, then Daniel. That was concentrating on the SPL, and then when we got into the under-21, when we brought Jasly over and then we won the under-21 league, and then we go into a different direction, into developing players, developing characters, developing leaders, That's why the reason we part ways with all these names. Because we need the new generation to step up. But the most concerned part is when we put the under-21 into the frame, we can become the champions of the league, but we are the worst team in the SPL, and the under-21 can't even support the the SPL team. It's not a concern for Tanjong Pagar, actually. It's a concern for the whole nation.
Of course.
So this is something that, even for the national team, you can take all the senior players, but I tell you, you're going to have problems soon. This is something that I think everybody can learn off Tanjong Pagar, you see. We can have the best under-21 team, like I said. But if we still want to stick with all those names, we want to still think about, this is we still should have them as leaders and everything, then I think I myself should be playing.
Yes. Absolutely right.
Of course, when we do this and then we decide to do this, the results shown really bad. But let's do this. Like the boys will improve eventually. Through failures, leaders will be created, will be molded, and I've already seen some of them a little bit. Some in Akram, some in Faisal. They have to be heard. Like it's not easy, and their ability is not as the top level, and their mentality is not as like Amri and Ridwan or Bai or Sharil. But I think if they were to now go into other teams, they will manage themselves better. Coach,
you almost brought this show into a different angle when you brought up that pipeline issue. One day I will have you back on to talk about that. Under 21 step up to the SPL level and how it's a wider problem. I promise you that. Okay. But my question with regards to Tanjong Pagar now is you talk about that directive changing to make under 21 boys make the step up to SPL level. Are we going to continue to see that under your management over the next few months?
For me, it's easy. I told the SPL boys, if you're not good enough, then the under 21 is going to go and take their spot in this next 5 months. But I go down to the under 21, I say, hey, you are not good enough. I say, you have already shown if your behavior and your sacrifice is going to be as such, then don't waste your time, Because you're weak technically. Tactically, maybe you have a little brain, but physically you are not there. Mentally, you are not willing to make the sacrifices. It's always excuses. So please make a decision and don't bother coming to training if you're not going to be committed 100%.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we combine the under 21 and the SPL, because we want them to understand that it's a fair platform for everybody. If there's a chance for somebody to play, of course, it's been discussed in the technical meeting every day on the performance of the players, including the under 21. So there's a chance for them, because we have really thin squad. We have only 15 outfield players. So some of the players will come from under 21 as well. Yeah.
I love that point you make about under 21. It's not just the Tanjong Pagar boys. Any budding footballers listening to this should heed the advice of Coach Noh Alam Shah, right? Coach, my final question to you. The Tanjong Pagar fans have been long-suffering, but I always see them at the stadium cheering them on, the Jaguar Force or the Sterling Curva as they call them. They will be listening into this. What's your message to them?
My message is simple to them. You are the number 12 of the club, right? You wear the number jersey. You practically, every fans in the world is the number 12 jersey, right? And if you are not being released yet, then you stay. We lose together, we win together. Of course, we cannot keep distance. Of course, that's what they will be critiquing. It's fair, like I said. You criticize when you should, you give credit when you do, and they have been fantastic by doing this. And my response will always be fair. If I made a mistakes or I make good, we will still sit together, because the club is much, much more bigger than any individual around. So we need to understand this, but don't stop coming just because you don't want to. Yeah. So for now, it's not easy. I also can't promise you anything yet, but what I promise over the last 38 days, I saw that the players are giving them their all. They fall during their runs, they give everything. So I can promise them that on 18 January, that these boys will be 100% fighting for the badge.
Wow, I can't wait for the season to resume. We've been speaking to Coach Noh Alam Shah ahead of his installment as interim head coach of Tanjong Pagar United. Coach, thank you so much for your time and all the best for the journey ahead.
Thanks, Raushan.
Sports Minutes on Money FM 89.3.